Orleans Coaches Corner, the show that gives you an in-depth look into the Orleans Boys Basketball program with head coach Tom Bradley. Bulldogs Coaches Corner is brought to you by El Compadre Mexican Restaurant, with locations in Paoli, Orleans, West Baden Springs, Mitchell, and Bedford. And by Kirby Hardware and Appliances, your local family-owned hardware store on East Jefferson Street in Orleans. And now, here's your host, Dave Dedrick.
The Orleans Bulldogs completed their historic run through this boys' high school basketball season this past Saturday at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis as the Bulldogs victorious and are your Class A state champions for 2025 as they defeated Clinton Prairie 64-55. Good evening, everybody. Dave Dedrick along with Bulldogs head basketball coach Tom Bradley. Yes, the Dogs are state champions, something that this community, team, and coaching staff will relish for the rest of their lives as they had a big celebration, as you might expect, on their way home and then all the way back here to the doghouse with all of their home fans celebrating that big victory. We'll talk with Coach Bradley about that state championship game that put the Dogs on top of Class A, and of course take a look back at this magical season where the Dogs finished 25-4 and of course the state champs. All of that and more coming your way tonight. You're listening to Bulldogs Coaches Corner on Mix 95.3 and Gold 98.7 WSEZ.
Whether you're looking for a place to eat lunch or before or after the game, El Compadre is the place to go for the best Mexican food around. Open Monday through Thursday and Sundays 11 to 9 p.m., Friday and Saturdays from 11 to 10 p.m. Come try one of their daily specials, hot or mild or everything in between. They have something for every taste bud. Come on into one of their 5 locations, Bedford, Mitchell, West Baden, Paoli, and their newest location in Orleans. Every day is a fiesta. Check out their website for more information and phone numbers at elcompadremexicanindiana.com.
Dave Dedrick, along with Bulldogs head basketball coach Tom Bradley on this edition of Bulldogs Coaches Corner. And coaches, we've talked about a lot of Monday mornings. Smile on your face because you're happy you had wins, but my goodness, this was the biggest of them all.
Yeah, this has been a wild month, going all the way back to when we started playing in the sectional and end the season like we did here. The worst day that I ever have talking to my kids, and I think we may have mentioned this, is after your game when you're put out. And so you're there thinking your kids and all and wondering what you could have done different to get them a little bit farther and so forth. But I think that was the biggest thing that hit me when we got in the locker room, because I mentioned to the kids, I said, we don't have to talk about that. The season's over, but great, because you're one of 4 teams that had got to finish your season with wins.
And, I think you and I probably talked about that at the very beginning of the season, was the fact, it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a grind. And, there's only going to be 4 coaches that are happy when it's all said and done. And fortunately, you're one of the 4.
It was unbelievable how it all kind of come together here late in the season for us and really got on a roll. But, to be one of the four coaches and 4 teams that got to finish with a win it just only happens to 40 people a year, and for us being one of them, we're very blessed.
That you are. I figured by now, though, as a math coach or math teacher, you'd have figured out the percentage of that, but we won't put you on the spot on what it was here tonight. But Tom, let's kind of go back. I know you and I talked about it in the pregame show prior to the tip-off Saturday morning, but definitely it was a different week in preparing for a state championship game.
Yeah, there was a lot of things going on, and that was the difference. Normally you would come in and you would practice after school every day and so forth to get ready to play your games. But in this case, there was a lot of adjustments had to be made in terms of when we can practice, where we're going to practice, and so forth. But that just part of the experience and the adventure that we went on, because those other things, I know everybody wants to practice, but those other things are important to get the whole experience about being able to go up and practice up there. Of course, we practiced in another different gym. We went up for a meeting for a whole day. A couple trips up there for all the kids, coaches and Bryce and Rylan. We had 3 trips in a week going up to Indianapolis. So it was kind of a different thing, and you kind of find out pretty quickly how really mentally focused your kids are because of those disruptions. But we didn't think of them as disruptions to us simply because it was all just such a part of the great experience.
Yeah, just a little bit of change in your normal routine, and your dogs handle it well. And as you and I talked about, Coach, I know you guys wanted to win it, but you were going to take on a team from Clinton Prairie that wanted to win it too.
Everybody wants to win every game. That's right. And going through the tournament here, we played some really good teams, and we're fortunate to get a victory in those. But this Clinton Prairie team was on a roll. I think, what did they end up? They just lost 1 or 2 games. Is that right?
Yeah, 3 now.
3 now, yeah. But just 2 games during the regular season, and highly ranked and so forth. Been scoring a lot of points. Play some different defenses. I watched obviously a lot of tapes, and I never saw them one time play man-to-man. And so that kind of cued us in on the things that we needed to work on this week.
Well, Coach, you were able to get those worked in on your practice days, and it looked as though that your team was locked in during those practice days to get ready for your matchup on Saturday.
A little bit different aspect into they play a 1-2-2 zone, Dave, and I think we talked about this before. If you put 3 guys outside, then it's a 1-2-2. If you actually put a high post in there, then it's a 2-1-2, and it kind of adjusts. And so you could kind of go against either one that you wanted to go against, depending on how you lined up. And we had really not seen that at all in terms of other teams we played. And then come back out at the end, they played a lot of 1-3-1. I think they probably got that from watching us in the semi-state and noticing that it took us a while to get used to that, and so they played that at the end of the game. But our kids did a nice job, Dave. I was really proud of them with how they were focused and locked in on an understanding that for us to be able to win this basketball game, we got to know what we're doing against those 2 defenses.
A team like you'd seen a lot in the semi-state, Coach, teams that were length, had some size, and also could shoot the basketball.
Yeah, every team at this level, I guess that's the way it is. Now we're not the big length kind of team, but that was all right because we usually take care of it pretty well. We could shoot the basketball, and these guys here that we were just playing, Clinton Prairie, had a really good season. And you look at their averages: 23 for one of them, 16 for another, and then 10, and then down the line. But had some really good scores as well, and play hard. They were playing with a lot of confidence, just like we were.
And of course, every time we talk about getting ready for a game, Coach, you want to get off to a good start, and this is kind of doubly true when you get to a situation where it is the state finals, because normally you go through your warm-ups, you got your introduction, maybe take 2 or 3 minutes, but with the videos on Saturday, it extended that out even longer, so you had a little bit more time to start thinking about it, but yet your guys came out and didn't seem fazed at all.
No, I think it was a lot of that to do with how tough some of our leaders are, and keeping everybody on the same page, and not get too high, not get too low, just go out and play your game. And that was kind of our approach to the last day of practice, and what we told them about that. We just go out and play. There's going to be a big crowd there, and you're going to be really hyped up, but to get off to a good start is going to be huge.
All right, Coach, let's kind of get into this game before we talk about it specifically. What was the game plan going in?
Well, we knew that Clinton Prairie, again, with their defenses, and so we were really working on that aspect, but the idea was to try to get the ball inside, and we weren't going to force anything, and we just kept telling them, if you think it's a shot where, sometimes I make this one, sometimes I don't, I'm not really comfortable here, then just don't shoot it. Let's just play. And so we thought we'd try to get the ball inside a little bit. We knew that they had some guys that really jump at shot fakes, and so we were telling our post guys to always shot fake when they caught the basketball if there was somebody around them, and being able to score. And so wanted to do that. We wanted to get to the foul line. I know we shot a lot of free throws there late, not a lot in the first half, but we wanted to get to the foul line and just play our normal game. I mean, we weren't trying to change anything, but other than how we were going to attack the zones, but just play our normal game. Shoot the ball with confidence. It wasn't going to be, okay, we're going to run as hard as we can, or we're going to slow it down, or whatever the case may be. It was just, we've been here before many times. You know exactly how these guys like to play. You know the speed that they like to play. Let's just play our game and not worry about that.
We'll have more with Coach Bradley tonight. You're listening to Bulldogs Coach's Corner on Mix 95.3 and Gold 98.7 WSEZ.
Kirby Hardware has been helping the residents of Orleans keep their homes and farms running smoothly since 1953. Kirby Hardware carries a full line of GE appliances, hardware items, household items, lawn and garden supplies, paint, and a full line of plumbing, all with the knowledge to get you what you need to do the job right the first time. Kirby Hardware open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. and Saturday, 7 till 2. Phone them at 812-865-2510. Kirby Hardware at 206 East Jefferson Street.
Dave Dedrick, along with Orleans head basketball coach Tom Bradley, on this edition of Bulldogs Coaches Corner, on this state finals edition of Coaches Corner. And Coach, right before the break, you talked about your game plan. I know that you went over with your staff and with your team. You're always got that though in the back of your mind, Did they really hear me? Do they know what we want to do? And they did, because I'm right out of the gate. You went down low, and Alex got 3 quick baskets.
Yeah, that was the thing. Getting the ball down to Alex was, he's just been playing outstanding here the last month or two, and just really come along for us. And by going inside like that, Dave, sometimes you get another benefit of getting fouls on the guys that is guarding him. And as it turned out, we were able to do that, and it meant a big thing throughout the end of the fourth quarter. But getting the ball inside was always a key for us, trying to look inside. And then we thought Bryce could drive the basketball. We knew that they were going to be guarding Ryland really tight, obviously. So there were some things we did there. We've been working throughout the year on pitching the ball back. Bryce knows that if he's got ahead a little bit of Ryland, he's going to try to pitch it back to Ryland to shoot that three. And he made a big one there in the fourth quarter by doing that. It was just things that we have done all season. It was just now, okay, let's make a concerted effort that we want to get the ball inside. We want to do it this way. And so got off to a really good start, shot the ball well early on. I think they shot the ball well early on as well. And so I'm sure it was a really good game to watch in that first quarter.
That it was, went back and forth. Dogs had 11-5 lead, but then Clinton Prairie came back and had a nice run there of 9-0 to get the lead out 14-11. But Coach got some momentum there to close out that quarter when Ryland got fouled on that three-point shot and knocked all 3 of them down.
Yeah, he's a really good free throw shooter. He's averaging, I think he finished 81% for the year, and does a really nice job from there. But those are 3 big free throws that he hit there right at the end of the quarter, too, because you always want to make a big play at the end of a quarter, because you're going into, and sometime of these it was like 2-minute breaks because of the timeouts, and you want your team feeling pretty good when they come over.
All right, Coach, it was 14-14 at the end of one, and this second quarter was just back and forth. You'd make a basket, they'd make a basket, and nobody could get any separation at all.
No, nobody could get anywhere. The McGraw kid, I thought in the first quarter we played him really well. Didn't give him a lot of shots at all, and we wanted to keep that up, and thankfully for us we were able to do that. But we had to keep just playing what we've been doing, and I think the big thing that I will say kind of kept it close. We turned the ball over quite a bit in the first half, and in that second quarter as well. We made some passes there that maybe some nerves, that kind of thing. But we made some passes there maybe we shouldn't have, and kind of turned the ball over a little bit. And but besides that, in the quarter we still shot it well. I mean, we shot it well the entire game, and I thought they shot the ball fairly well. But it was just kind of a feeling yourself out in that first quarter, because it's a completely different team that they'd never heard of, and didn't really understand at times about exactly how good they are until they found that out when the game started. But I think it was also a big thing in terms of that second quarter of them gaining confidence, because it was, we were ahead, they come back and they make that run, and then we come back and we have a run, and they knew it was going to be a 4-quarter game.
Well, the Dogs, Coach, I know this really bothered you, the fact that your worst shooting quarter was that second quarter when it was 54%, so that's really something to yell at him about at halftime. But again, I think in this second quarter, too, as well, and you touched upon it, you're going to have media timeouts. It's something you don't have during the regular season, so about halfway through, there's going to be a timeout whenever you get a dead ball break. But for this quarter, we talked about it, man, it kept going and going. We got past that 4-minute mark, got under a minute, and finally you got a break to where they had that media timeout with less than a minute to go.
Yeah, that was the thing where there was no really dead ball situations, whether there were fouls or you had to take it out of bounds, and they didn't really have a chance at that. So I kind of like that. I just go ahead and play your flow, and we didn't have to call any timeouts in the first half because of the media timeout that we had in the first quarter, and we really didn't think we needed one in the second. And you end up, Dave, obviously 9 timeouts in the game, and 4 for your team, or 5 for your team, and then the 4 media timeouts. But Bryce continued to play well in the second quarter. I tell you, he just had a heck of a game. I don't know. Just he understands so well how the game is to be played, and just really did a nice job of him and Ryland of being our leaders there, and obviously our captains who have played for 4 years. they should know how to do that, but these guys do it to the highest level.
Well, Coach, you went in with a halftime lead, up 28-25.
Yeah, and the thing about halftime there, the kids felt pretty good about it. Obviously, we addressed the turnovers. I think, how many do we have at half? I can't remember exactly. But
7 or 8 at least.
7 or 8 at half, and finished with like 14 or something like that. And I said, look at this. I said, we're right where we want to be, and we've turned the ball over, as many times as we turned the ball over in a whole game with just 7 turnovers there, or 8 turnovers, whatever it was. And so they felt pretty good. I think they found out at halftime that they could play with this team. They found out at halftime that, we can play even better if we take care of the basketball.
Yeah.
And so that was a big thing. We were really happy with how we guarded McGraw.
Yeah.
Him after the first half looks like that he had like 5 points for the half. And, you knew you weren't going to shut him down for good because he's a heck of a player and he's going to try to do a little bit better in the second half. But Farley hit a few shots from them. He was the big 3-point shooter. And then they start number 20, and number 20 is not really a guy that really looks for the shots a lot, but they sub with number 3, and number 3 was the guy that we said, now you got to make sure you get out and guard him. And he had a couple shots there, but I thought we did a pretty good job on him. So there wasn't a lot of adjustments. I mean, we talked about, are we attacking this zone defense the way we want to do it? And really, I thought we were. And we made a little bit of adjustment about really taking another look every time at the post. And we tried to start driving the ball harder. And if we got a rebound, I wanted Bryce to go with it because, he's pretty good in the open court and he's able to get out. So we mentioned those kind of things, Dave, at halftime. But besides that, there wasn't any really big adjustments besides what we just said about how we wanted to attack that zone a little bit more inside again.
Coach started off that third quarter just like you did the first quarter, and that's getting the ball down low to Alex. And again, got you 2 quick baskets, and all of a sudden you were able to boost that lead up and get things rolling and going your way.
Well, I think that big quarter there is where the McGraw kid picked up most of the fouls. Looking back at the book, he had 4 fouls in the quarter, and that was kind of the emphasis that we talked about of how we really wanted to get the ball inside, because we told them that we haven't really got them into any kind of foul trouble. I think they had just maybe 4 or 5 fouls in the first half, and we really wanted to go in there and see if we could attack more, because Alex obviously had 8 points at halftime, playing really well. We wanted to continue to go to him.
And Coach able to build that lead up at the 3:03 mark to get it up to 11 at 44-33.
Yeah, that was kind of a false sense of security there, I think. We did a really nice job there, and if I remember correctly, at the end of that third quarter, they had a big run.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was 11-0 or what it was, but it seemed like it was a big run for them. And next thing you know, we're right back down to 2 after being up 11.
That was a 9-0 run there to close out that quarter. And at the quarter break there, McGraw hit one with under 10 seconds to go, and all of a sudden you're in a game at 46-44.
Yeah, that was a tough one. We used 2 timeouts in that one, I remember, and plus a TV timeout probably as well. So that was a tough one there in that quarter. They had their run. I mean, we knew they were going to have a run.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to this level, everybody's going to have their run. And but it's a little thing, but just looking at that, I think I really liked that we were still up 2. I think the kids had to think of that as, okay, now they've had their run for their game, and we understand that. But you know what? You still got the lead. Okay? So we're still right where we need to be, and I just wanted to keep building that confidence and not let them get nervous and so forth. And it was very easy to do because they're not a team that get nervous. They really aren't, Dave. They're just a team that just goes out and plays the game, and with all the close games they've had and the comebacks they had in the semi-state, I just feel like that they're just so grounded about, we know what we're going to do. This game's not over. And going into that fourth quarter, we felt pretty good.
Going into the final 8 minutes, Coach, though, give Clip Prairie credit. They hit that first basket, right, tied 46-46, but it didn't seem to phase your guys. You just kind of look back, okay, this is what we need to do, and then you were able to reel off there a basket by DeWitt, a 3-pointer by Bryce, and another one by Alex, and all of a sudden you're back up 53-46.
Back up to a pretty good lead there, 53-46, like you said, and I think we were able to keep it the rest of the way, I believe. And so, were they ever ahead in the fourth quarter? Okay, I thought the third quarter score we were up 2. I thought we held the lead the rest of the way, and the big thing about that too, Dave, I don't think we ever had the ball up 1 and had to play at that defense that they were throwing at us, the trap and stuff. It seemed like we were always up 2 or 3 with that possession there in that last quarter, and I really liked that aspect of it. Okay, if we don't get a good shot here, they can come down, and they're definitely going to be in the lead if they hit a shot. But we kept going there. I know there was big play after big play. I mean, Ryland really did a nice job there. We got a big steal. I was able to get if I remember correctly, a layup and a foul, and so we got a 3-point play. And Bryce Jones just went by everybody one time and was able to lay it in. What a shot that was! And the one he shot over his head, and that was crazy. But that going in with that left hand there and kind of getting out and making that basket, and just big plays. Bryce hit a big 3 for us from the top of the key, and the guys that have got us here by scoring points, and everybody obviously has got us here in some aspect, the defense and so forth. But it just seemed like those guys had that confidence that they knew we can get this done, and they took the good shots. We didn't take a lot of bad shots at all during this game.
And Coach gets down to the end, less than 2 minutes to go. Then you start to get to the free throw line, and like you've done so many times this season, you were able to get up there and knock most of them down to keep the other team at bay and never let them get back into a ball game.
Yeah, 5 for 7, I think, for the last quarter, which is not bad. And they had to get in the cells where they had to foul, and we knew that on the other end, Jake McGraw was going to try to carry them through, and he did. He tried to carry them through and did a nice job with 4 fouls and that kind of thing. But getting those 4 fouls, Dave, after watching some of the film, I noticed when we got the ball to Alex, he kind of backed off a little bit. He didn't want to get that foul, and rightfully so. And I think that helped us in that last quarter because Alex got a couple of shots down there where he didn't get up and try to block it or anything. He just got his hands up. But you're right. The last couple of minutes there, we were able to hit free throws. They had to come out of their zones and start really going at us and just fouling. And so things, an area where, Dave, really we're comfortable with that. I think we have confidence that we take care of the ball for the most part. We're confident that we can knock down threes or knock down free throws, and you get an area like that where you've had success in the last quarter all year long. Feels pretty good.
All right, Coach, we've talked about the scoring throughout this game. Defensively, you had another strong effort, and another game where you kind of had to go to the zone there for a little bit, kind of change the pace.
Well, we did. We just kept. I think that was a pretty big key for us because we were struggling with guarding some of their guys, and both of those guys we talked about, Alex Farley and Jake McGraw, just 2 tremendous scorers for them, and it was either a post up real quick inside or a hard drive inside, and so what we decided to do in that second half, we did it right at the end of the second quarter. We went to our first zone, but in that second half, I was asking kids. I said, "What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?" And so we ended up just switching it back and forth. They thought the zone was working well, and so did I. I did not want to continue just to be a 2-3 zone. We went to a lot of 1-2-2 zone just to give them different looks. So maybe they had to pull it out. Maybe they had to figure out what we were in and use some more clock instead of just coming down knowing, hey, they're going to be in a 2-3 zone. And then we'd go back to man-to-man. And by that switching defenses in that last quarter, I think it took them a little longer to run their offense, make it more difficult for them to get a shot.
All right, Coach, gets down to the final seconds, and you'd been locked in all game long, but did you realize it was about ready to happen? And was it at this point, did things kind of slow down for you or not?
Yeah, the last 2 minutes, or a minute, seemed like it took for a half an hour because it was just one of those things where, is this really going to happen? And you just kept looking around, and they had to foul, and we would get free throws, and it was just kind of a slow motion thing. And I know coaches as well were looking at the clock. Okay, 29 seconds left. Okay, this is how many we're up. This is how much what they need. What do we need to do? And we were able to figure out, did we have fouls left that we could use and so forth. And the big key on that, Dave, we said just rebound the misses. I mean, we just constantly said we got to rebound misses. And if we rebound misses, they're going to have to foul us. And if they foul us, we're good at the foul line. We'd be able to get it done. But you're right. It was just kind of slow motion for us there at the end. But it was an enjoyable 29 seconds. Yeah. But we were sure glad when it got down under 10, and we had a pretty good lead.
That they did, and the Dogs won at 64-55. We'll have more with Coach Bradley tonight. You're listening to Bulldogs Coach's Corner on Mix 95.3 and Gold 98.7 WSEZ.
your dining experience into a fiesta at El Compadre, the heart of flavor and fun. Open Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 9 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 11 to 10 p.m. Craving something delicious? Try one of our mouth-watering entrees that will make your taste buds salsa. Visit us at one of our 5 locations, Paoli, West Baden, Mitchell, Orleans, Bedford, and coming soon, Palmyra. El Compadre, where the flavor is as bold as the fun.
Dave Dedrick along with Bulldogs head basketball coach Tom Bradley on this edition of Bulldogs Coaches Corner. All right, the Dogs state champions, 64-55. Coach talked about it, slowing that down, the clock going through your mind, all the scenarios that you have. But finally, Coach, you got all those zeros and the fans erupted. You had a great crowd that you could look across Gamebridge Fieldhouse and see all morning long, which was key for you. But nothing like celebrating when it got down to all zeros. Yeah,
and both teams, I want to compliment our crowd, obviously, but also Clinton Prairie just brought a tremendous amount of people. And even on the broadcast, they were talking about how big a crowd it was for a single-leg game there in the morning. So, yeah, we got it down to the end there, and, it was just all of a sudden you just kind of felt like a weight was off your shoulders, and you were so happy for the kids. And that's the whole idea behind this to be, and our coaching staff is you want to give everything you can to make these kids as good as they can be so they can enjoy this. And to reach where we did in the top there, it was just quite a celebration there when it was time to do that.
And that it was. And, Coach, a little bit different celebration because both teams still remain out on the court because they've got medals to hand out to both teams.
That was nice. That was nice. And I will say, Coach Peckinpah, just a top-notch guy. I mean, he was just so good to us after the game when we were talking, and he was congratulating us so much and said he was really happy for us. And that means a lot. It really does, coming from another coach after you just dropped the state final game and so forth. But their kids were that way as well. They were going through and they were saying congratulations. And I really want to compliment him and his staff for what kind of team that they have. But, we got down to the end there. We had a chance to celebrate a little bit, and I think everybody was hugging everybody, and kids were so happy, and it was just a once-in-a-lifetime for most people, if that, event. So we wanted to make sure we took it all in.
Well, as you and I talked about, Coach, everybody dreams about this day and this type of thing happening if you're a basketball player. And for the Dogs, it was a dream come true.
It was a dream come true. I think we had talked about this. Last year kind of gave us a little bit of motivation at the end of the season, and dropping some games during the season this year. But again, I think at the end of the season we were playing pretty well, and definitely at the very end of the season, I thought we had a good play against Brownstown there. Knew how good they were, and I think it opened our kids' eyes a little bit. So hey, we could go a ways in this tournament, and I just credit them to what happened there in terms of we really improved. I mean, we got through after the Paoli game where we shot at the ball so poorly, and they played really well, and obviously were a lot better than us that night. But after that, it seemed like we kind of got on a roll.
And you get going, Coach, and we always talk about it with fans and coaches as well. If you've been in basketball and you get into a tournament run, we always say you got to have some luck with you, and you do. There's no doubt about that. But you did not have a bad game, I thought, throughout the tournament run from beginning of sectional to the state final game.
Oh, we got ourselves a little bit behind in the semi-states, a little bit, but we were ahead in the semi-states too. But I thought every game we played pretty well. We took care of the ball really well and shot the ball pretty well as well. And it wasn't like we're laying an egg in this game, but we're playing well in the next one. We were very steady.
That's your work, Coach. In fact, you think we look back, trying to remember. I don't know if it was quite 60% in the regional, but it was pretty good shooting there. And I know it was 60% in both semi-state games, and then a 60% shooting game and record-setting game for your team Saturday at the state level.
We had no idea, obviously, but one of the gentlemen there came up to us and said, "Hey, did you know that you set 3 new records?" Right. And we said, "We have no idea," obviously, but we knew we were shooting it well, and I think 64% for the game, 6 out of 10 threes, which kind of shows you that really we didn't shoot a lot of bad shots. We didn't force things, and we didn't say, "Oh man, I wish I wouldn't have shot that one," and that kind of thing. So that was really cool that we found out that we broke some records from past teams, and that in terms of the percentage that they shot and so forth. And it was just to get hot at the right time. Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's all it takes. If you're shooting the ball well, it really builds that confidence, and you get hot at the right time. And we had some luck as we went along, obviously, just like anybody else. But you know what? You got to credit the kids. I mean, they create that kind of luck.
That they do. And Coach come away with that big state championship win, celebrating, and it was a team win again, as always, is what the Dogs have relied on, and it was the way it was in the state game against Clinton Prairie.
And if you go back and look at all these tournament games that we've had really good contributions out of everybody that plays. You know, Alex led us win this one with 24, and Ryla was 16, Bryce was 17, Nate Brown with 3, and you say, well, you didn't have this guy score or this one. You know, Nolan Robbins did a tremendous job playing defense for us, and you look at Mason Freed. I mean, he had one of his best games he's had. He really came out and got a couple baskets for us, got some assists, feeding Alex inside, made a really nice passes there, good rebounds. Nate Brown with 3 points, but he was one of those guys that, you know, spent the whole time really thinking about how am I going to guard McGraw or how am I going to guard Farley, because he was the other one on there along with Nolan. And Kagan Russell just played a little bit, but Kagan, we needed him when he came in, and he just did a really nice job, took care of the basketball for us. And all these guys that maybe did not get in the game and play, they're just so as important as anybody else. You know, Jimmy Sanders, if you look at him, and Troy Dilley, Caden Burning, Dane Freed, Owen Gilbert, all the way down the line, these are the guys that made this team what they ended up being, simply because of all their hard work, all their work in practice, and making our guys better. And it was just their attitude of, this is my role. For us to reach our goal, I'm going to do it as well as I can. And it's not just the 5 guys or 6 guys that play. It's the entire roster of 12 guys that we had dressed. And I couldn't be more happy for each and every one of them. Every one of them was as valuable as anybody else on the team.
And we talk about celebrating on the floor, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and got your medals, got to cut down net a little bit different, cutting down the nets this time. But then, boy, it was fun to watch all of the ways that you had the opportunity to get your picture taken with a state championship trophy, a kind of a serious one, and then some fun photos that followed.
Yeah, I really enjoy the photographers that were up there. They were really good, and you know, they tell you to do this and do that, and bite the medal and all this stuff, and put up your number 1, and it was just really cool. And the net part of it, you know, I cut that up. They told us to take it home, cut it up. So I've divided it into equal pieces for our team and our cheerleaders and so forth, and hand that part out. Just really, really cool. And then probably as big as anything else in this, you know, that was the award that we won after the game for our individual.
I was getting ready to say, of all the team honors, that was great, but you brought home hardware individually as well as Bryce, a well-deserved honor, and it was great to see him get that Mental Attitude Award, the Ray Kraft Mental Attitude Award for Class A boys basketball. Quite an honor.
Yeah, it is, and that means so much. I mean, that's an individual award. It's not just basketball skills. You know, they take into account of what kind of individual that you are, your grades, and so forth, and you know, your perception from all your school teachers. And I give credit here to our principal, Tim Day. He wrote the article. He wrote the letter up there. Of course, I read it, and he said, I want you to make all these different, you know, corrections. And you know, I told him, I said, I couldn't do anything close to what you've just done. It was just a tremendous letter that he wrote. I think he really found the heart of what Bryce is all about in terms of being a leader. And I watched the film, and he bumped into one of the referees as we were going off the floor right after the game. And when he did, you could read his lips. He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And that's just the kind of guy that he is. And for Orleans to have a guy like that, I know Paley had that privilege before to have one of the Kimmel boys, correct? And you know, that's the biggest award they give besides this, you know, the team award there. And we're just so happy for him and proud. And you know, his parents are really proud too.
They should be.
They should.
And of course, Coach, as I talked to Bryce after the pep rally here that you had, we'll talk about that a little bit coming back, but yet he realized the fact that it might have been an individual honor, but he couldn't have got it without his team.
No, he couldn't have. And he's just, again, an indication of what kind of young man that he is, and you know, kind of gives you a foresight of what he's going to do in the future, because he's going to do a lot with his life in the future. We'd like to have him back for 4 more years, just like all those other four seniors, but you know, that's something that he will remember forever and ever, along with the state's title. national championship.
We'll come back and have more with Coach Bradley. You're listening to Bulldogs Coach's Corner on Mix 95.3 and Gold 98.7 WSEZ.
Kirby Hardware has been helping the residents of Orleans keep their homes and farms running smoothly since 1953. Kirby Hardware carries a full line of GE appliances, hardware items, household items, lawn and garden supplies, paint, and a full line of plumbing, all with the knowledge to get you what you need to do the job right the first time. Kirby Hardware open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. and Saturday, 7 till 2. Phone them at 812-865-2510. Kirby Hardware at 206 East Jefferson Street.
Dave Dedrick with Bulldogs head basketball coach Tom Bradley wrapping up this edition of Bulldogs Coach's Corner in the season as well. But we still got a lot to talk about here on this championship night. And coaches, we talked about big celebration at Gamebridge, a little bit different though because fans don't get to come out on the court and celebrate with you. But after all of your media duties, you're able to go out into the concourse and kind of get together with your fans and a bit of a brief celebration before you headed back south with all of the escorts that you got and finally get back home.
Yeah, that was cool. We got to go in the locker room and talk as a team for a while and take a few pictures in there, and then of course we were escorted to different places, to do interviews and so forth. But once all that was over with, we really weren't supposed to go up to the top. We asked some people and they said no, you have to stay down here, and we're like, okay, now so how are these kids going to get to see their parents, because the parents couldn't come down,
right,
and we couldn't come up, and maybe we're not all proud of it, but there was a stairwell right there beside where we come out of the tunnel, and there was nobody standing there, and nobody said a word. I mean, they just run up the stairs there just to get to their parents and be able to celebrate with them. So I'm guilty as well, because I was up there as well to see my family, and it meant a lot to be able to go talk to people like that. That's really been your motivation throughout the course of your life.
Well, it's meant to be if that's the way it unfolded, Coach. That's the way you got to look at it. All right. And then you get to come back, and, you had a nice little celebration up on the semi-state, but it was like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. But my goodness, I came back early, and I thought it was Dogwood Festival Parade Day when I got back through here.
We happen to see you down on the square or waving down the bus, but that's been every one of our championships. We've had people on the square, but I think this one was the biggest one in terms of the number of people. After we went around the square a couple times with 20 people with lights flashing in front of us and so forth, and then being able to come back up to school and letting some people talk, and our administration, I thought that was pretty cool what they did about there's something missing here, we got another trophy and so forth, and that was really cool, and got to show our appreciation to the crowd and to our band and to our cheerleaders and so forth, and all the people that have just laid over backwards to give us anything and everything that we wanted. And so it was a great celebration there. And we got a awards banquet coming up yet, so I'm sure we'll have another celebration. But what a way to end the Saturday night!
And it was a great motivation. I don't know about motivation, but a great thing that you did, allowing the team to stay, and they were more than happy to do it. Sign autographs. I know they signed shirts and T-shirts and basketballs and programs, and I don't know what all, but they just stood there and took their time, and I think they appreciated it as much as the fans.
Yeah, they got to do that after the semi-state, and we want to make sure that they get a chance to do that again if the fans come down. And like you said, there was shirts and socks and everything. Hats. I mean, had a guitar that came through, and electric guitar that was signed, and all kinds of stuff like that. And those kids really like that. They like relating to the fans and the kids and so forth. And a lot of good things can happen from something like this. You get kids in there that boys or young ladies and young men that say, hey, this sounds pretty good. Maybe I ought to go out for basketball or whatever. Or and the younger fans are thinking, I'd like to do this one day. And you never know. I mean, it may bring more people out to try out for teams and so forth. And because when that excitement around this team has been so well received in terms of everybody just kind of pitching in and so forth, I think fans and young people notice that and they think about that a little bit. So I hope it grows. I hope it grows our sport, and not just in our community, but in others around.
Well, when it's all said and done, Coach, there'll be one big photo up here as the state champs. It'll be your staff and your team. But yet it was quite an experience all the way around, not only for players, coaches, but cheerleaders, your pep band, and your fans.
Terry Burton, our band director, who if you ask anybody around here, I think they would agree with you about how good they are.
Oh yeah,
and they just do such a tremendous job. And I remember when we got back, I had called Terry and I said, "Hey Terry, we got good news." They said you can come, you can have your drum set. He was asking about that and all, and I think Coach Wheeler reached out to him as well, and they were so excited about it. And boy, they just do a tremendous job down there. And you can kind of tell when we were coming in, you could hear your band get going, and it kind of felt like a home game, because when we were coming out and so forth. But and our cheerleaders and Shannon Salmon just does a tremendous job. All these decorations every week they put stuff up and in the hallways and stuff, and they've done that ever since I've been here. But this time it was a little bit different because after we won the sectional, then they had to change words from sectional to regional, and then semi-state, and then state, and they got that done usually a Sunday night when they come, or Sunday afternoon, and you just have so many people, Dave, that you want to thank, and you don't want to leave anybody out. But it's just the whole community. It just seemed like really got behind this team and just showed their support in so many ways. Not just here, Paoli and Mitchell and West Washington and Springs Valley, all these schools wearing red and putting on signs and so forth, and these businesses all around town and around the community there. It just really, I think, kind of brought us together a little bit, and I really like that idea because every time we win, that's great. But I'll tell you, if somebody else does the same thing, like when Paoli went through this and Bar Reeve went through this and Borden went through this, I was all about it. I mean, you want to celebrate their victories because, you want to give them that support. In return, you're going to get their support.
Well, you talked about the decorations. I remember one when I come in the east side of the door every Friday morning, do the pregame. There's a sign, a picture of Ryland, and it says, Ryland says we're going to win state. Next week I came through, it says Ryland says we're going to win regional. Next week it said Ryland says we're going to win semi-state. And then next week, this past Friday, it said Ryland said we're going to win state.
Yeah, they had to update them. Yeah. You're right, and that was really cool. And then again, we've never got this because usually when let's say we get beaten a sectional, well then you're walking in and they're taking down stuff and so forth, and you feel so bad, and that kind of thing. And then the other thing I think about, Dave, is and I'm sure we've mentioned this, but that last talk about when your team gets outed from the tournament is the worst talk that you have to make as a coach. And it's always really tough to try to find the words to say to your kids. But one of the things that we said when we got in there, the first thing we said, we got them all sitting down, and I started with that. I said, well, it's that time again. Yeah. Of that talk. But I said, you know what? we're going to enjoy this talk because there's no sorry, there's no I'm sorry we didn't make it maybe next year. It was you finally got it done here for our community and so forth, and we're just so happy for you.
All right, Coach, we come to the point of our show where we have the last one and a chance to talk about these seniors one final time. I'll leave it up to you. If you want to go down individually, that's fine, or if you just want to talk as a group collectively, I'll just leave that up to you.
Well, Ryland's got a lot of press this year. Obviously, he went to the top 60 here yesterday and went up for that, and he's got an offer that he's planning on making a decision on here real soon. And he said he shot the ball really well yesterday. I was talking to him on the phone, and we weren't able to go up, but he's a guy that has been a mainstay for us. He set the record here for the most 3-point shots that has been made at Orleans High School, and just did a really nice job, become a 1,000-point scorer. And I can give you exactly 1,146 points, and he's hit 244 threes in his career, and so he's got a lot of accolades there and well deserved. Bryce Jones is another guy for 4 years here, has come through and played for us, and just got better each and every year, just like Ryland. He's been our point guard, and you always like to have those point guards back because they can run your team and they kind of understand that, and it's been really nice having him come through here. I'm really glad that he finished the season here like he did in the tournament by playing just the top notch of his game, and 17 points for him in this finals. And we talked about the Ray Kraft Award already and the accolades he's got. And Ryland's got he's got the HBCA All-Star Game coming up at Columbus North here next month, which is not too far away. And so those two guys have been really, really a big part. And then we go to our other two seniors and Jimmy Sanders. Jimmy is he gets more cheers and shout-outs in practice than anybody else when he makes a good move and finishes. And he's just gotten better and better and better about that. And, they always just go, man, what a move, James, what a move, that kind of thing. And, it just brings a smile to everybody's face when they do that. And just his attitude has just been absolutely outstanding in terms of what he's done for this team. And we're just so happy to have him around, and glad he stuck with it throughout all 4 years here, and just quite a great young man. And then Kagan Russell came over back in junior high as 8th grade and from Mitchell, and he's come through our program as well. And he got a little more playing time early on, and then as it turned out, it kind of dwindled a little bit, but you couldn't tell any difference. He got in almost every game though, but he's a ball handler for us. He's a good defender for us. Played 30 seconds for us in this game, but it was an important 30 seconds. We had Alex DeWitt with 2 fouls. We had to get him out. We had to change our lineup a little bit, and it was right at the end of the last couple possessions. And Kagan has just had a great attitude, just like Jimmy as well, with his role on the team. And all he wants to do is for our team to win. I mean, and you can go all the way down the line in that all of them just want our team to win. And so we're really, really excited and really happy for this group of seniors, these 4 guys, because a lot of times in classes you start out with 8 or 9 guys, and then it kind of, as it goes along, you get less and less. But these guys that are our seniors just have been absolutely outstanding, and there's not enough accolades that I could throw out there at them to show how grateful we are that they play for us.
And one thing we need to mention too, with Bryce being named the Ray Kraft Mental Altitude Award winning, was the fact that $1,000 scholarship will go to the General Scholarship Fund at Orleans High School here in the name of Bryce Jones.
Yeah, and what an honor that is to have your name on a scholarship like that they were able to get to a point where they recognize not only his playing ability up there at the state, but they also recognize what kind of young man he is, and couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
And before we wrap it up about these seniors, Coach, I kind of went through and looked over their 4-year record. I came up, if my math is correct, at 85-20. Now, you're the math teacher. You can figure out that's over 80%, I think, a winning margin, and that's not too shabby.
That's not too shabby. Out of 105 games, 185 of them, that's pretty daggone good. And they had some good teams before them, obviously, with a couple 20-plus wins and so forth. But that's something not just for this group, but that's for all those other groups before them, in terms of they were on teams there that taught them how to play and really were good guidance, not just this team, but last year's seniors and the year before and the year before and so forth. And it's just not just our win in 2025 here. It's the win for the whole program because of all the time and effort and the backing we've had throughout the years in our community. It just kind of finally all kind of fell together for us, and really just going to be something that this team celebrates for a long, long time. And we'll have, like you mentioned, we'll have pictures, we'll have banners, we'll have probably signs outside on the road somewhere and all that stuff. And I hope these other players that we've had in the past understand that it's not just team, it's for all of them, and I think they do. We've had so many texts and calls and so forth from these other players, and after the games, how they're coming down and shaking everybody's hand and so forth. It's just been tremendous to see these guys, and some of them probably a little jealous, and rightfully so. They should be, but it's always that I was hoping we could get it done, but I'm so happy for this program and for these kids.
That they were. Yeah, they'll always be known as state champs, and here in 10 years or 15 or 20, when there's an anniversary, they'll all be back, and the gym will be packed to celebrate, and everybody will, even though they may not have been at Gamebridge Fieldhouse, but on those anniversary dates, they'll tell you, yeah, I was there.
Yeah, everybody was there that night. But we mentioned this before. What a crowd! It was just amazing, and it just kind of seemed like it brought our community together again. It was kind of like, downtown, as an example, when we had our tailgate. I kid you not, there were more people there than there are at the Dogwood Festival. I mean, it was just amazing, and all the stands had food, and you just walked around and got whatever you wanted, and everybody wanted to talk, and you got tattoos, and you got bracelets, and all this free stuff that people were giving away, and that was just right before this, and so that was really, really cool, and I think everybody just started jumping out, jumping on, and we had all these people that came back for games that flew back into town, and multiple people that said, I'm going to be there. I'm getting on a plane. We're coming. Spring break. Some people are away, and I can just think of a couple guys. I won't mention everybody's name, but he said, I got the iPad, and I said, I made my wife drive all the way because I was going to watch that game. And we pulled over one time when it got really exciting. He said, we pulled over and parked so we both could watch the game in the parking lot as we're coming back. So, things like that. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it is. And Coach, one group we need to talk about, too, before we get out of here, and that's your coaching staff. But I'm afraid you may have set a dangerous precedent on Saturday, making everybody wear a suit and tie to the state finals, but it turned out to be pretty lucky.
Well, here's the thing about that, Dave. I'll give you the background there. Paul Stroud and I wore, for all home games and things like this, always wore a coat and tie and so forth. And when we got up to our meeting on Monday, Brian Lewis was talking, who's the assistant commissioner, and he was going through all these things. And he said, this is a formal event. He said, I really stress that you wear a jacket and tie. And I was really happy to hear that, and so forth. And, Coach Wheeler said, this is the first time I had a coat and tie on in 36 years or whatever, since I had my wedding or something, whatever. And Coach Murphy Wheeler, he went out and got him a coat and tie. Michael had his stuff, and Paul, obviously. But I thought it looked cool. I really liked it. And I heard Mark say after, he said, I might just start doing this. I was like, that's fine. That's fine. Whatever you want to do. But I thought they looked sharp.
Yeah, they did. It looked good.
I like that. I like the idea of them up there at the State House, or up there at the State, thinking that, this is a pretty big event. Let's look our best.
But, Coach, you get right down to it. They were key individuals in putting this run together for you.
Mark's been with me, I think, for 26 years. I think he started his second year, laid out a year, maybe 24 of the 26 years that he's been with me. So forever, obviously. And we grew up together. We played on the same teams together in every sport, and backcourt mates in basketball and all this stuff, and baseball. And he's just been a rock for us in terms of what he does for our team. There's mostly it's obviously me, X and an O, and all these things. But boy, he sees mistakes and points them out, and understands about nothing gets by him. And it's just been so really a nice partnership throughout. And then of course we've had Michael Stroud, who had come back, had to take a couple years off, but he's back again. And all the time and years that we've spent with him, he was an ex-player of mine. And of course you can't get any better than Paul Stroud sitting on the bench. You hear tons of stories, and and we just love that. We just love that, asking him questions all the time, because he's had quite a life in terms of playing in college, NES State, playing for the Harlem Globetrotter stuff, and overseas and all that, and coaching at Mitchell and West Washington and so forth. And just really happy that he came in the gym one day a couple years ago when we were doing bullpups, and he said, if you ever have an opening. And so, we had an opening, and so we were able to do that. And then we got another player in Murphy Wheeler who is coaching for us now the last couple of years. He was a junior high coach, and some things switched around a little bit, so he was able to do JV, and he's just kind of learning as we go here, and just has picked up so much. He's a great motivator. The kids really like him. He's closer to their age and so forth, and kids really like him, and become a really big part of our program. So all the way down the line there, I think I got them all in them.
Yes.
But all the way down the line there, our coaching staff has just been tremendous. And Mark being athletic director, that's an easy reach for me. Say, hey, we need this, we need that. And I'd have to give credit to Tim Day, our new principal, has just been a tremendous backer for us. Stayed with us at the State, and that kind of thing. And Julie Ralston, who Julie was at Paoli. I was teaching with Paoli, or over there. I taught Julie at Paoli and so forth. And Jimmy Ellis, who Jimmy is our superintendent, who used to be a basketball coach himself. Coach Gilbert, we're really close friends with the girls coach, and it was just a community of different people that work here, along with all our teaching staff. And we had so many people that led us through these things. Lori DeWitt, Alex's mom, and Jennifer Hall, and all these people that just got everybody together and say, this is what we're doing. We're having a breakfast this morning. Okay, we're going to feed you after, and just back and forth. This is what time we're getting at for the pep rally. We're going to go outside and watch the buses go away. And there's just email after email back and forth, and it just takes a whole village to be able to get this stuff done, and they've just done a tremendous job, and we're just so thankful for that.
Well, you should be in a great group and a great community that backed the Bulldogs to that state championship. And Coach, hopefully now you've been able to sit back here over the last 24 to 30 hours and enjoy it a little bit.
It has been. It's been really nice. Still a lot of things to do. I'm kind of behind a little bit on getting our spring camps papers out. I'm going to do that today, but just little things like that. But it's we could trade it all for this.
Yeah.
We do it every year if we can get there. But and obviously one more thing with my family and my wife, obviously being our biggest fans, and
that's just the way it is. That's their, and I got to see Belinda at their pep rally, and she was just as happy as anybody here. But she knew what it took for you and your team to get that and enjoy that specific moment.
Yeah, and she's our rock. I mean, she's the one that keeps me in schedule and all.
That's a full-time job and a half, hey?
Well, because I forget things, and she said, "Well, you got to do this, you got to do this." But she's just been amazing.
That she has, a great woman for sure, Coach. You're like a lot of us. You married way out of your league, that's for sure. So. Yeah, you got that right. All right, Coach, we'll just wrap it up again. I want to say thank you for allowing us to be a part of this journey. What a great journey. One we'll always remember as well, not only in Orleans community, but throughout the county in southern Indiana. Quite a year it has been, and these young men have accomplished something that people will never be able to take away from them, that they are state champions.
That's right. It's going to be written somewhere. Yeah. It's not going to be erased. I agree with that. And so, it was just a tremendous experience for us. I rode up to Brian Lewis the other day and thanked him for everything. We had our host and all the people that took care of us just did a tremendous job, and we want to give a shout out to them as well. And obviously to you guys in the radio, all your partners, and David and Bert and all that just did a really nice job for us in covering us, and we really appreciate that. And I was glad we could kind of pair together and go on this journey.
That it was. And Coach, what a journey it was, and one that we'll be talking about for years to come. So what's the offseason going to be like now for these dogs? Because you're going to be coming back. You've always had a target on your back, but now you got this state championship target on your back.
I like that target. We've never had that before, but we graduated 4 players that meant a lot to our program. But we got some guys coming back that played some minutes this year, and maybe this will whet their appetite a little bit as well. But right now it's going on to other sports and cheering them on and those different things like that. We'll start some of our spring camps and go work with our little guys, K through 6th graders, and get all those things going on here really, really soon. That starts the 1st of May. There's probably some golf thrown in there somewhere, some fishing. I just talked to Mike Brown yesterday, and he's wanting to go fishing, and so we'll try to get together and do those kind of things. And it's kind of cool of all the people that reach out, and you get to talk to a lot of people that you kind of hadn't seen for a while, and that's been a big part of this as well. But in terms of the basketball program, we'll get her going again in June, and then they probably deserve a little time off, don't you think? So,
absolutely.
So we'll do a little bit of that.
Well, quite a journey. Coach, as always, thanks for joining us not only tonight but throughout the entire season. And have a great off season, because before you know it, we'll be back in here. We'll be talking about getting ready for the 25-26 season and be tipping it off when it comes around November.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. But it's got a lot of things to happen before then. And I hope these guys enjoyed this as much as we did, and our fans enjoyed this. I know the players did, but I'm sure that the fans did as well. So it's been really fun, Dave, and I appreciate all you've done.
Thank you very much. Head Coach Tom Bradley, one final time this evening on Bulldogs Coaches Corner. Again, we want to thank Coach Bradley all throughout the season. And again, a big thank you to all of our sponsors who allowed us to bring you Bulldogs Coaches Corner each and every Monday night through the entire season. And most of all, thanks to you for listening. For Coach Bradley, I'm Dave Dedrick. One final time, the Orleans Bulldogs are your Class A state champions for 2025. For Coach Tom Bradley, I'm Dave Dedrick. You've been listening to Bulldogs Coaches Corner on Mix 95.3 and Gold 98.7 WSEZ.
Orleans Bulldogs Coaches Corner has been brought to you by El Compadre Mexican Restaurant, with locations in Paoli, Orleans, West Baden Springs, Mitchell, and Bedford. And by Kirby Hardware and Appliances, your local family-owned hardware store on East Jefferson Street in Orleans. Bulldogs Coaches Corner with head coach Tom Bradley has been another featured sports exclusive from your sports leader in Southern Indiana, Mix 95.3. and on Gold 98.7 WSEZ. Thank you for listening tonight and throughout the entire season to Coach's Corner and all of our Orleans Bulldogs basketball broadcasts. Your 2025 Class A state champion, the Orleans Bulldogs.